This question says, complete the following calculations with the correct number of significant figures and units. Note that all numbers are given, are measurements. So in this case, we're doing math with significant figures. And if you haven't watched the previous question where we just count this number of significant figures, that's going to be very important. So here we want to be aware of that. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to simply type these numbers into our calculator. And most calculators, almost all calculators, will not give us the correct number of significant figures. So then we need to fix that. The rule is for multiplying and dividing, the number of significant figures in the answer should match the measurement with the least significant figures in the calculation. For adding and subtracting, it's almost the same but slightly different. Instead of total significant figures, it's in decimal places. So the number of decimal places in the measurement with the least decimal places should match the answer. Essentially, what this all means is that if we have one very, very accurate measurement with lots of significant figures and another with very inaccurate measurement with not very many significant figures, our result has to match our inaccurate measurement, not our more accurate measurement. Okay? So that's all we're doing. So let's take a look. First thing we need to do is realize that the calculator will not tell us the truth. So if we were to type these numbers into the calculator, so we have milliliters times grams per milliliter, we're going to get the number 10.468571. This is simply what the calculator tells us. Now, we need to think about a unit for this. We have milliliters times grams over milliliters. So here we have milliliters on the top, here we have milliliters on the bottom. So the milliliters cancel, and we end up with grams. Now, we need to think about how many sig figs this should be. Well, it depends on which of these has the least number of sig figs. The nice thing is neither of these numbers have zeros in them, so it's just however many digits there are. This one has 3 sig figs, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs. Our answer should match the one with the least. So obviously 3 is less than 5, so our answer should have 3. So what we do is we go over 1, 2, 3 digits. Notice this 0 is significant because it's sandwiched between other sig figs. Now we decide, do we want to round this up or round it down? In this case, since this is a 6, if it's 5 or more, we want to round up. So what we should put as our answer is 10.5 grams. Okay, this is now our answer with 3 significant figures. This happens all the time, especially in the lab. You do some calculations, and your calculator tells you this long answer, and then you have to round it. It also happens in the lecture course as well. So now we need to subtract. So in this case, we have 19.2702 and 14.2. In this case, we care about decimal places. This has 4 decimal places, and this has 1 decimal place. So our answer should have 1. So I'm going to write what the calculator says. Normally you would write down what the calculator says. You just look at the calculator and then round. But I'm going to write down what the calculator says so I don't have to pull out the calculator and show you. So we have 5.702. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's 5.0702. Now, this is what our calculator is going to say. Now, we need to look at the units. In this case, we have grams minus grams, so the unit is just grams. Notice when we were multiplying or dividing, we have to cancel out things or potentially divide them. When you're adding and subtracting, the units just stay the same. So in this case, we need to think about how many decimal places should this have. Well, if this has 4 decimal places and this has 1 decimal place, our answer should simply have 1. We have a 0 here. We want to round up because this is a 7, and our answer is 5.1 grams. So note, this is the calculator, and this is the actual answer that we want to write down. Last one, we have 19.2153 grams divided by 5.0 milliliters. In this case, we want to do the division, and when we do the division, we find that it's 3.84306 in our calculator. We have grams divided by milliliters, which is grams per milliliter, like so. Now, we need to look at sig figs. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sig figs. None of them are 0. In this case, this 0 is after both a 5 and a decimal point, so it is significant. So this one has 2 significant figures. So our answer should have two significant figures to match our least, in this case the volume, which is only 2 sig figs. So we go in 1, 2 digits for the second sig figs. That's the one we want to care about. Since this is a 4, we keep it the same, and we write our answer as 3.8 grams per milliliter.